October. And so far we've loved it. We had really good reviews on it. If ma'am, if you'll sign in, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah. And today we are going to present Ms. Ahoy Thrower from Porch Creek Nation, who is going to talk to us about tribal medicine. I think you're an ethnobiologist. Is that what I read?
Not.
Yeah. But experimentally, yes. Okay, sorry. All right. So if everyone will give a round of applause for Ms. Ahoy Thrower.
Yeah, kind of letting the cat out of the bag. I'm not an expert by any means in any subject here with botany or name it, history even, but I do have a very unique story and upbringing, and I'll kind of get into that and see why maybe I'm kind of being the messenger on this subject. But yeah, so we're going to cover traditional plant use in a broad way and how it's persisted in the Porch Creek community and how it's kind of become part of the cultural legacy. So there's a little bit of a lag in this clicker. But yes, there are still Creek people in Alabama. A lot of people don't realize that, and this audience probably is well aware of the history buffs and everything. But we are still here because we got special land grants during the Creek Indian War. It's a long, complicated story that I won't have time to get into today. But if you ever want to visit the Porch Creek Museum, they do a really fantastic job going into it. I'm having technical problems. There we go. So yeah, these are just some pictures showing the community. They're playing, revitalizing the game of stickball in the 70s there. That's from the 30s when Reverend Edwards came as a missionary with baptism. So, and this is just kind of modern pictures. You know, they're still playing stickball. We brought that back, and here's some traditional clothing for our princesses and annual competition. So we're trying to revitalize culture to this day. Needless to say, though, as I mentioned earlier, most of the Creek Nation was moved and removed to Oklahoma. We're very small. Creek Nation of Oklahoma has over 40,000 people. We have 3,000 tribal members, if that. So we're much smaller, and the only difference really is that we're smaller and that we got to stay in Alabama where there's more historical plant use. In Oklahoma, they're a little bit more culturally preserved. They have the language more intact and things like that. But their entire environment shifted. So they stopped using some plants altogether that just don't grow in Oklahoma. And one example of that is yopon. Is anybody familiar with yopon? Yeah, some people, yeah. The funny thing about it is that it grows like a weed around here. It's everywhere. My plants can be all tangled up here. So I'm going to pass around plants, so I can make it kind of hands-on so you can actually see the plant. So I hope it's not going to be too convenient having to get up and pass it around, but we'll make it work. So yopon, the cool thing about it is that it has caffeine in the leaves. It's the only plant in North America with caffeine in its leaves. And so Creek people and all kind of southeastern people, they would drink it every day, just like we drink coffee every day. People are no different anywhere and everywhere. So, and they also used to drink it ceremonially in something called the black drink with a mixture of all kind of other herbs. And you'll see this scientific name here, Ilex vomitorium. When Europeans first came over here and they watched Creek people doing their purification rituals, they would see them drinking that black drink and then vomiting up, purging. And they just assumed, since that was the primary ingredient, that makes you vomit. They didn't question it, they just put that in the books. Ilex vomitorium. They're wrong. They were always wrong. It doesn't make you vomit. I drink that just about every day, actually, as a tea. And it doesn't. I don't know whether it was that those Creek men back then were just so good at making themselves purge on command, or if it was the other herbs thrown in that were emitted or make you vomit. I don't know, but it definitely is not that plant that does it. And yeah, you just go pick it and you dry it. Well, you don't even have to dry it, you just go roast it, right? You don't have to dry it before you roast. You can dry it before you roast if you want to preserve it, but just roast it until they're dark brown and then boil it. It's just like tea leaves. And when I talk about yopon, I like to also pass around Chinese privet, which some Some of you may be like, well, I think she passed me on that board. It's a horrible invasive. It is, and I don't want you to drink it because sometimes it looks just like yopon. The big difference is, maybe we should pass it around again actually, because I'm going to point out this difference here. The edge of the leaves on the yopon are very bumpy. They're wavy. The edge of the leaves on the privet are totally smooth. So you'll see the difference now when I pass it around. That's going to be the biggest thing to trip you up if you ever try to collect yopon yourself. So I just want to prevent that mistake from the get-go. But nothing else really that similar to it other than privet, so I think you'd be good. And the female plants have the berries. I would avoid that. If you try to harvest it, just stick with the male because the berries are a pain. You don't want to eat those. They'll give you some, they don't kill you, but they'll give you stomach ache. And the Creek word is ussy, which is the word ussy. So, I was talking about how plants change and everything. Well, there are, and of course, as I mentioned, privet is a non-native plant, right? It's invasive. It was not evolved to exist on this hemisphere. It came from the old world and only came over because of all the globalization that's been happening in the last 200 years. And it has absolutely been awful for our ecosystem. It just is not meant to grow here. It's aggressive, it takes over. Another example of an invasive plant is the China berry tree, but I just kind of like to illustrate how complicated our relationship with plants can be in tribal communities, because even though this is introduced in the last few hundred years and invasive and not so great for the ecosystem, it has become culturally relevant because we make necklaces out of it. So even the Creek word for it is kanapaga, which means resembles a bead. So I'm going to pass around some China berry necklaces. One's painted and one's dyed. You can see that's comes off the tree. So it can get complicated. I'm an environmental protection specialist at the tribe. That's my job now. I was in the cultural department. Now I'm environmental. I just hop around. But I've killed a lot of these trees, but I've also collected from them, which is just kind of a balance of keeping them in check, but also using them. There we go. So, before there were ever any introduced non-native plants, right, there was a world of biodiversity here and diversity in general that we'll never, ever be able to wrap our minds around because it doesn't exist today. It probably never will like it did then. Natural resources in pre-colonial times were so abundant. These truly mind-blowing historical accounts would be flocks of birds and the fishes and all the kind of rare plants that were common that are very rare today. So, I just kind of want to make a point that it wasn't just that it was so biodiverse and abundant with natural resources, it was also diverse in terms of people too. We talk about, in terms of the state of Alabama through Georgia, Creek Nation, right there, you can see the Creek land cession map. But that wasn't at all a form of identity of belonging to the Creek Nation until way later on. Before that, people identified with their town sites, and they probably spoke 4 to 5 languages. I mean, there was not just being Creek or Muskogee, there was also being Yamacraw, Appalachee, Yuchi, Alabama Cosati, Chickasaw, and of course Choctaw, but there was all kinds of ethnic diversity here in the Southeast, and they kind of out of necessity had to later on kind of band together and kind of unify more. But that's the wrong way. One of the relics of kind of that time period, so after globalization and other people coming in, introducing plants, and not just plants but diseases, one of the mighty, most major important trees of this continent had a blight by the 1940s and was pretty much exterminated, and that was the chestnut tree, the American chestnut tree, which is really tragic to think about. But the closest you can get to that besides the Chinese chestnut is with a chinkapin tree. There we go, there it is. So this is the leaf of a chinkapin tree, and I'll pass around some acorns too. So my great-grandmother loved, and my grandmother loved eating these straight off the tree. what's special about it is that most acorns are really bitter, but this one is just sweet, right off the tree. You can eat it and kind of snack on it. I don't have the Greek word for this plant. I don't know. Nobody really seems to know. But that's kind of a way to sort of access the past because it's super closely related to that American chestnut. It's its closest relative that's still able to thrive and produce in the same family there, or genus even. So another example of a plant that shows the amount of abundance we used to have is yellowbird. Now yellowbird is still around, but whenever I talk to plant experts and I tell them that we had yellowbird around the porch community, they go, probably not. It doesn't grow that far south. I said, yes, it did. It used to, right? So elders talk about it all the time, about yellowbird. What it was people in the outside communities realized that the Indians had this really awesome medicine and they wanted to purchase it. And so people in poverty at Porch up until the 80s were harvesting, and they over-harvested until it's all gone now. Because they were making money off of it. That's the yellow I'm passing around there, you see. Yeah, you could propagate it from other places in the southeast and bring it back. And we have been thinking about that. We're really focusing more on River King with that right now. But yellowbird is definitely, I think, probably in my top two, River King and yellowbird.
What is it said for focusing on?
River cane, so yeah, in terms of propagation, bringing it back to river cane. Not switch cane, but river cane. Big bamboo we have that you make baskets and fruits out of, that sort of thing. Yeah. But that's been out of cultural practice at our tribe for a long, long time. It's something that we know historically was very important, so it'd be a total revitalization. Yeah. But yellowbird is it's fairly common. It's not hard to find in the northern parts of the state, central and northern parts of the state. But my point is that things were a lot more abundant and widespread than even the experts realize. And kind of cluing into the elders' knowledge will tell you that, is that a lot of stuff that they say you only find up north, we used to get everywhere. Maybe not super common, but it's just amazing how much diversity we've lost. Oh, yellowbird? So, it's kind of a funny thing because it's been gone for a few generations now. People talk about it as though it's a cure-all. I'm like, I don't know if that's true. People talk about it, diabetes, cancer, arthritis. But I know for sure it's really good for any dental problems. In babies who are teething and people who have any dental issues will chew on it. But also I've heard that it really is good for arthritis. People really swear by that one. And I know a guy who had chemical poisoning and he lives up in the northern part of the state where he can find more of it, and he just drank gallons of the tea of it every day, and he got over that completely without any medical help. I'm not suggesting you ever do that if you have a problem, but it's just interesting stories that I've gathered.
So it's probably analgesic, like an antioxidant?
I would definitely imagine so, an anti-inflammatory, anti-inflammatory probably too, but I really am not sure. There's nothing very conclusive on it that I've seen. I think more research needs to be done. So, the reason I'm showing fashion now is because I kind of want to make the point that when contact was made between the old world and the new world here, it was kind of making it, right, for a while with disease spread, right? And, not only just psychopathic conquistadors, but diseases too. There was a lot of bad times, but the Creek people and all Southeast Indian people had to go through sort of a bottleneck period of that. And it came out of it into a multicultural period. And I don't think people really appreciate that enough. Probably a lot of you do, being part of the Creole society, because that's the epitome of a multicultural group of people. But I just kind of like to make that point that for a long time after that period, Creek people were living with traders and other kind of ethnic groups, and there was a collision in cultures, and it showed up obviously in the fashion. I mean, look at all these traded items, beads and glass and things, but they made it their own. They made it unique, made it special, and part of their culture. But you can apply that thought to medicine too. That world of medicine was very much affected by the influx of African people and European people coming in. One example of that is Holland. Mullen is a really, really fuzzy plant. I guess that's why in Creek they call it wabaniji. But it means cow tobacco. I guess because it's fuzzy like a cow. I'm not exactly sure why. That's what they call it. So I'll pass around some of that. The only mullen I have is kind of chopped up, but you can feel how fuzzy. I want you to feel how fuzzy it is.
Will you pronounce the name again?
The native name, Wabaniji. Waga means cow and Hiji means tobacco. That was really good for any lung issues and also with flowers and things that help with ear infections. But this is not from America. This is from Europe. It's an old, well, really indigenous European medicinal plant that was brought over because it was so valued, planted along homesteads a lot. And Indian people picked up on it very quickly because it is a great medicine. But the difference between that and privet is that mullen is polite. You know, privet is a mean, aggressive plant. This one minds its own business. It doesn't take over. It's a sweet, nice, it's foreign, but a very sweet little plant, you know. It does just fine, so we don't mind mullen. Even though it's not evolved to be here. Quicker, can you do this? Yeah. So all good things have to come to an end, right? That multicultural, wealthy period of Creek people and the interaction of other groups of people, you know, could have gone on. Today, we could have still had a Creek Nation in Alabama and had Creek language playing on the radio stations along with English and had this multicultural world here. But, you know, greed got in the way. Andrew Jackson is largely to blame for that. And the Trail of Tears happened and removed most of them. And the reason why I'm harping on this and making this point and talk about plants is because you have to put it in that perspective and understand it. The Porch Creek community came out of this. Their ancestors went through that war, and in fact, a lot of our direct ancestors in the Porch Creek community did die on the Trail of Tears, and their offspring kind of stayed behind and things like that. So I mean, we were tied into this conflict as well, even though we stayed behind, and in terms of the war that preceded it, right? And that really affected the mindset of Porch Creek people for generations afterwards. For example, my great-great-grandmother was terrified of men in white suits, or white men in suits coming into their property nearby because she always felt like they were around, they were going to drag them to Indian territory. She called it IT, where they would drag them. She said they're going to take us to IT. She would hide as a kid behind furniture and stuff. So, and that was, my gosh, that was up until like the 1920s. That's pretty recently for Native people still in Alabama to still be terrified of being dragged off and forced away. And that's not just true for Porch Creek people. A lot of Native people were left behind in pockets and isolated little communities. Porch just happened to be a fairly large one because of the land grants that were issued. But yeah, and a lot of Native people in the Southeast were literally hiding out. And that totally affected the way that they could embrace their culture, right? Think about it. They were terrified of being acknowledged as Indian and being taken away. So really, it's a miracle that as much of our Creek culture persisted for as long as it did. It really is a miracle. And our language died out at Porch in the 60s. I think that's safe to say. Because my great-great-grandmother was the last fluent speaker in my family, and that's when she died. So it seems to be about when it died out. And the songs disappeared, we stopped stomp dancing. Now, we revitalized all those things since. But one thing that I would say never totally went away was the plant knowledge. And I think the reason for that is because they needed it, right? You're desperate. The local doctors were very racist, and so they wouldn't treat the Native people. So they had to kind of know some of this stuff. But even beyond just medicine, I mean, it's pretty interesting, some of the stuff that was preserved. Like, we used cedar. My great-great-grandmother, her name was Zephy. She used cedar in a very explicitly spiritual way, which is super interesting because they do the exact same thing out in Oklahoma, the traditional people there still practice culture. And I'll just pass around some cedar and some rabbit tobacco at the same time. These are often used together in that way. They're just very sacred plants. I think you kind of need to just hold it in your hand and think about that. But the rabbit tobacco, half of it is silvery and dry, the other half is green. And you want to wait till it's all silvery and dry, because that's when it turns into medicine. So it's about halfway there. But yeah, cedar, she would use it to clean out homes, in a spiritual sense. Like burn it and smudge out a home. That's exactly what they still do. She was doing that, again, up until like the 60s or so. And to this day, we still carry that on. And the Greek word for that is achino. And cedar has just profound significance in the old ancient art. I mean, it seems to be implied in the old Mississippian art that it's a tree of life, an axis point between the worlds and the realms. So it's just a very meaningful plant. Rabbit tobacco, I passed around too. The Greek word for that is ahalabati. And similarly, it's burned and used for those kind of purposes. It also can be used in a more clinical sense. You can make a tea out of leaves and drink it for colds and things like that, and smoke it for respiratory issues. And a lot of old timers will swear by stuffing a pillowcase full of it and sleeping on it if you have asthma. I've heard that a lot. Mostly I hear old guys say I used to sleep behind the bar and smoke it, that kind of thing, but I mean, there's all kind of things you can do. Oh dang, my pictures didn't load. I had a picture of my great-great-grandmother that I just talked about, Zephy. She's a ghost right now, she can't see. So, well, that's my grandmother, Gail, and that's my father, Robert. And I had a picture of my great-great-grandmother, Zephy, just to kind of show people in my life that have taught me these things and are very important. Because the one who was pictured there, that's her grandmother. So her grandmother taught her a lot, and my grandmother taught me a lot. That's just how it goes. But I wanted to say, though, as far as the spiritual subject of rabbit tobacco and cedar, that's about as far as I'll get in discussing those sorts of things. Because I don't really have the authority. Thank you. I don't have the authority really to go there. I just don't. I'm not a medicine woman. I never claimed to be. I'm not. I do participate in traditional ceremonies in Greek culture. I go out to Oklahoma and do that. And I'm very proud of that. I love to. And I very much believe in traditional medicine. But I have no authority to really talk about the details of it. I kind of just stick to what I just told you, basically. So talk isn't really going to go that way if that's what you were expecting, but I just don't have the authority to say so. I tread very carefully with that sort of subject. But I used to love to talk about it all because it's really simple. You know, my grandmother taught me this stuff, and I think it should be common knowledge. I think we all should care to know more about the world around us and know just basic clinical uses, folk medicine, things like that, and see where the research backs it up today. Now, cotton is an example of where I feel like we talk about traditional medicine. A lot of people will tell you that it was trial and error over thousands of years. Well, from a native perspective, we don't really feel like that's true. It might be partially true, but we do feel as though that there are God-given gifts to certain people who have the knowledge to be able to instinctually know what's good for healing certain people and other people not. I mean, it really is a powerful thing. And I think that maybe cotton is kind of a good case study for that, possibly. This is cotton with bark that I found. It doesn't have much of a smell, but okay. I think cotton is a good case study for that because it was not here, it was not being used, it was introduced. And then not long after it's being introduced, you see tribal accounts of different tribal people all over the nation using it for very specific helpful medicinal uses, such as hemorrhaging birth, things like that. Now, I will say it's also possible that African descendants were the ones teaching those native people that practice, because it's very possible that in Africa they had access to that knowledge about cotton. I'd love to see more research on that whole idea and see what people can turn up, but I don't know. In terms of understanding, you know, what did people know before contact with the other side of the world. How much did the average person, the average teenager, not just medicine men and women, but just average people, what do they know? This is a good case study that was done. This was obviously somewhere up in like Michigan, up the Great Lakes, and they found, this is studying them when they were relatively untouched and still pretty much living in a pre-contact way. They found that they were utilizing 400, 500 plants in all kinds of ways, not just medicinal, but food and making cordage for things, you name it. But it's very fair to say that because we have more biodiversity in the South, that number would be even greater here. And I'll tell you right now, I've actually tried to kind of do the math and count it up. I know a lot about plants. I don't know that much. I don't know 500 plants and their uses. That's a lot. And again, we're talking about the average member of the tribe. Thank you. So that's kind of what I try to instill with people at my tribe is this is part of your cultural legacy, understanding the world around you. But I don't think it just applies to tribal people. I think it applies to everyone living here, right, in the Southeast. I think that we all should feel like it should be a little more common knowledge to know how to take care of ourselves, right, with the world around us, how to be good stewards of these resources. But yeah, like I was saying, there's high biodiversity right here in our state, and that's really being appreciated more and more lately. I've seen like a lot of publications talking about how incredibly diverse Alabama is. Yeah, these are just a few people. I mean, there's so many people and names I could list of elders in this time period that knew a lot. That's Claire Rowland teaching class full of kids about seeds, I think. And there's Cleve Chippy Rowland. I think he's got pokeberry in his hand. Anybody know pokeweed? Ever heard old timers talk about eating poke salad? Yeah. Got them there. But there was no McGee, there's all kind of different people, and of course my great grandmother Chippy Rowland. All kind of people who knew a lot in our community. And again, they had to, because out of necessity, totally ostracized and treated by local doctors. So some examples of the local medicines that were still being used is sweet gum. Now sweet gum's kind of an interesting one for me. Now I want to ask y'all this. Sweet gum balls, right? Y'all seen these? Y'all step on them, right? They hurt worse than a Lego when you step on them. There you go, that's nice, yeah. Well, a lot of people see that tree as a weed, right? I'm going to pass down the weeds, so you get a good look. They're kind of star-shaped. If you don't know how to identify it, it's kind of, if you take a good look, it's pretty unique, so you should be able to identify it after that. But the thing that's special about it, even though it's considered a weed, is that when those sweet gum balls are green on the tree, like you see up there, they have something in them called shikimic acid, which is what they use in Tamiflu. So basically, we're surrounded by Tamiflu. That's just one example. Yeah, it's crazy. This is everywhere. And I knew about that fact. I knew about that fact growing up. My dad always told me that. He said, "This Tamiflu and sweet gum balls." Very cool. And that was kind of my talking point, sweet gum. Then I was talking to an elder at our tribe, at our assisted living facility, and I was kind of asking him, what did your mother know? He goes, well, when I was a little kid, I had epilepsy really bad. I had seizures. And so my mother, for some reason, was convinced that going to the sweet gum tree and using the sweet gum tree somehow would help. And she tried her leaves, the bark, everything, and nothing seemed to work. And I thought, that's very interesting. She was so fixated on that, and nothing worked. Well, probably a year later, I was going through some research articles. And I think it was probably some publications from China or something, because they have a similar plant over there. And they found that the seeds inside of the pod are good for preventing seizures, epileptic issues. And I was like, that is such an interesting example of how, I think that kind of epitomizes our tribe, right, and the culture. It's kind of like hanging on by a thread, right? Like you have these people who she knew that was the plan. She didn't know exactly what part and how to use it. So I think that's super interesting. And that's where science can help us bridge the gap and put the puzzle pieces back together. again, she had to know exactly which part, thank you, she had to know exactly which part to use and how to, what dosage and everything. And this is a plant to talk about with that. You want to know exactly what part and how to use it. Because this can be a great medicine, wild cherry tree, very common. It can be an excellent medicine for dealing with a dry cough, an irritating dry cough that won't go away. However, you only want to use the inner orange bark and have it dry. And I'm going to pass that around. I literally just shaved some off this morning in my yard because it'd be fresh and smell good. But yeah, you can smell this in this bowl here. And the smell should remind you kind of like of almonds. I think it's a good smell. But you should probably familiarize yourself with that smell because what you're smelling is sort of like science. It's similar. But that is good medicine in small doses, right? You can use that to deal with the dry cough. However, you never want to use the leaves or the bark when it's been fermented and old and wilted. You never want to use that because the cyanide compounds are really, really high, and that can make you really sick, even kill you. So you just gotta know exactly what you're doing. So all this stuff I'm sharing with you is not me saying, go ahead, go out there and go try it. This is just, if you're interested, this is just kind of like a very, very small intro. If you really want to get into it, you gotta do more research for each one and know exactly what you're doing. When do you harvest it? What time of year? For this, you would harvest when it's hot, between spring and fall. You do fall too. You wouldn't harvest that in winter. You just have to know all these little things put it together. It's very complicated, but it's well worth, I think, getting into.
Is that kind of like a rule for medicinal medicine not to harvest in the winter?
Some things you want in the winter. This is just an example where if the cyanide's less, then it's more medicinal when it's hot. Yeah, everything's different. Like that rabbit tobacco, I only harvest after frost when it's cold. It wasn't ready when I got it. Yeah, I felt kind of bad harvesting it for the man. Because whenever you harvest it when it's ready, it has seeds that are just flying off. And so when it's ready, you can just throw the seeds out in the ground so it'll come back next year. This one's not going to come back next year because I got it early. You know what I mean? So there's always a time and a season for everything. Oh, and the Greek word for that is dofumbi. And you can say dofumbi homija. Homija just means wild. And I think I didn't say the word for sweet gum. That's philogamy. Sassafras. Sassafras is super cool. As you see those leaves there, it's the only tree with 3 different leaves. Right? So you got the 3 lobes, and then you've got the mitten one, and you've got the simple one. So that's super easy to identify. But I'm going to pass around some sassafras root. Because this is the original flavoring for root beer. And this was a huge medicine in the tribe. A lot of old folks, in fact, when they smell it, they go, ugh, I can't do it. Because their parents forced them to drink it like medicine every spring. So they kind of associate it with being forced to. So don't force your kids to do too much, then they'll hate them. But a lot of people do still appreciate it, and it's just considered a good tonic for the springtime and starting off with new fresh year. They always say it purifies your blood, whatever that means. And then also, I just found to make a point. If you look at the ingredients here on this gumbo filet, sassafras leaves. So yeah, it's just pure sassafras leaf. Yeah. Right. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So that's another example of, especially with Creole culture, my goodness, of the local groups, leading on people to good indigenous recipe ingredients that totally changed the cuisine of the South forever. So totally, we live in a multicultural place here in the South. Oh, so go ahead.
Marcia and I were at a conference a couple weekends ago of Mackish, and there was a whole presentation on sassafras and cultivating it and all of these things. So they said that the oil in the leaf is now illegal.
Oh, the saffron? Yeah, okay. So there's research on that says it's carcinogenic. And that's true. If you taking concentrated safflower oil and like 10,000 times the regular goji normally would. I could do it in lab rats. Sassafras, if you're getting it from the root, the old school natural way, I wouldn't worry about that. That high, people see the word carcinogenic and they freak out. That's always how it goes. But yeah, put it in context. It's written in a natural way. I would never worry about that. And I also, it's not something I drink every day. I drink yogurt like every day almost, but this, I just wait till springtime. It's kind of a springtime tradition, so I don't worry about it too much. Elderberry, that's another one. Thank you. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a good clump of berries and flowers. It's kind of past the time now, but I did get some leaves to kind of help you identify. The Greek word for that is, Toscoliba. And elderberry is an awesome example of where modern science has really backed up the tribal use of it. The cluster of flowers that comes first is actually really high in antioxidants, the great for adding into food. But the cluster of berries that come after the flowers are excellent for when you feel like you're coming on with a cold or a flu. They really help with lessening those symptoms. You start taking a lot of it. And you'll see that in the grocery store. They've got the, what is it, Sambucus or whatever? What is it? The name of the brand comes from the genus. And I forget exactly what the medicine's called. Something. It's something like that. But that's where it comes from. And it's just because it works so well. It's good elderberry extract. If you ever had to, if you couldn't go to the grocery store, if you ever had to depend on this, it's really common. It's all around. All you would have to do is when it's ready, just dry it out and have it on supplies for when you get cold, or you get a cold and you get sick. And then you can take the dry berries and boil them and make a tea and drink it. So again, it's just so common. That's just a good one to know. It's never going to go away. That's kind of a funny one because I don't have any to share because for one, all the above ground parts of the plant are very irritating to touch. It's a nettle. The hairs will irritate you. So I didn't bring any in. And I didn't bring the root either. The traditional use of the root is that it was the Indian Viagra. I kid you not. I kid you not. Yep. And people at court still talk about old folks, but where did I get that bull now? I don't want to tell you. I don't know that.
It's a vasodilator.
There we go. Yeah, I cannot tell you. I have not tried it, but it's apparently, that's what they say. That's what they say. So beautyberry, again, it's not the greatest time for picking stuff. It's just starting to get a little cold and things are ready to fall off the tree, but not quite there. That is beautyberry. Beautiful purple berry. A lot more vibrant at other times of the year. But the cool thing about that is berries, not so much edible. I mean, you can eat them, they won't hurt you, but they don't do anything for you, they don't taste good. The leaves have compounds in them that are really good insecticides, really good for preventing mosquitoes, ticks, ants, all of it. And it's about as 80% as effective as DEET. That's pretty good for a natural remedy. That's what modern science has shown. That's kind of a cool one. And my grandmother would use that and sassafras leaves in the woods. You can have green streaks on orange, she would just set it down. That most of the work. Willow is probably, I don't have any willow, that was a mistake on my part, but willow is probably the most important medicine for Creek people and most southeastern people. The word for willow in general is aquana, but the word for the special willow that's very much used medicinally is Mycohoyanicha. So there's a few words going on. But any kind of willow, any kind of Salix, Neptunus, it does have the medicinal compound in it, some more than others. And what it is the root has it the most. It's in all parts of the plant. But if you dig up the root, make a tea out of it, that is your original aspirin. That's a great pain reliever. So you can see why it was so important and so valuable. I mean, that's literally where it comes from today. Modern medicines. They use that a lot in modern ceremonies. So I mean, we're going to talk about the spiritual side of it, but I will say this. It has a clinical value, but I also believe that it has a spiritual value. And people who are, part of traditional culture believe that. There's more than what meets the eye in a lot of these plants. There's a whole other side we cannot see. And so it's more than just an aspirin. It has ceremonial value as well. So I kind of always just feel like I can't talk about traditional kind of plant use without discussing food preventative medicine, because I feel like our culture in America is kind of getting more in that direction. People are getting more healthier, and kind of going back to these old ways of preventing so many of our medicinal or our health issues from the get-go by eating right. And that's exactly what they did back in the day. And the Fort Creek community definitely had some of these practices until recent generations. So muscadine, I think most people are familiar with that. When I do this kind of thing, most people know that. Very distinctive leaf right there. That is the pre-colonial grape. It's always been here. Well, these are cultivars that have been bred to be a little bigger, but call them what you want. Fox grapes, possum grapes, scuppernongs, bullets, muscadines. I've heard all those names. All of them. There were wild grapes here and all kinds of them. The crazy thing about them is that they're so much more healthy than a grape you're going to buy in the grocery store. Way more. Way more antioxidants, way more nutrients, minerals, all kinds of things, especially if they're wild grape. Any kind is better. And in fact, I don't know if y'all are familiar with Peter Vineyards. It's kind of not in Mobile, but in Perdido, kind of between here and Porch. It's a vineyard where they use muscadine for their vinegar, for their wines, things like that. And Jim Evans was telling me some research he found about muscadines having the highest antioxidant level of all the other fruits that were ever used to make vinegar in this big study they did. So, hit them up when they're in season. They're good for you. If you ever want to make your own vinegar, that's no better way to go.
Jelly, we made jelly.
Jelly, yeah, it's great jelly. Yeah. And that Greek word is chaloswa. And just another kind of unexpected food item is the prickly pear cactus. It's our only native cactus. The Greek word is popaco. That R is a strange sound. But the fruit was very edible. If you ever want to try to harvest it yourself, here's the trick you need a lighter. You need fire or tongs or something. Because those hairs and needles will irritate your skin. But if you can just burn it off, the edges of it, it'll singe off the hairs and you're good to go. But it's really good. They're kind of, it's any kind of wild fruit. Some are better than others. You'll kind of find a dud and find one that tastes really good. But by and large, I think it's kind of like our native pomegranate in terms of flavor to me. It's pretty good. And then also the pads we're eating too. You'll still see that in Mexican sections of grocery stores. In Hispanic cuisine, you'll see where they eat cactus pads, and they did that here too. And in fact, research has shown that eating the cactus pad is a really great way to treat insulin shock, type 2 diabetes. It's a really quick way to kind of help in that down. I thought it was very strange and interesting. Blackjack oak. I had a little bit of that. I found like a little sapling growing up around this or something. It's not in good shape, but it's better than it. This is a red oak. You know it's a red oak because it's got sharp, pointy points at the end of the lobes of the leaf. The white oak has round lobes in general. White oaks tend to have sweeter acorns than red oaks. So I didn't put it up here for its acorns. The acorns would be very nasty, trust me. Now you could, if you were in a survival situation, you could feed the acorns and leach them in water for a few days, get the bitterness out, but that's a desperate situation. The thing that blackjack oak is very useful for is that it makes a really good dark lye solution when you use the ashes when you burn its branches. So the ashes were very valuable from this tree. And other trees can do it too. This one and post oak just happen to be considered best. So you take the ashes, mix it in water, make an ash lye solution. It makes a very, very basic solution. That's what they used to fix corn. And I'll pass around. I know you've all seen Indian corn pie before, but this is just a kind I grew last year called glass gin corn. It's pretty. But they would use the ash fly solution to fix the corn. It's a process called nixtamalization. It's a big word, but what it did, that basic solution would kill off the mycotoxins from fungus, any kind of harmful, little creatures that develop in the corn that might hurt you to breathe in or to eat. Kill them all. It would make the corn a little softer and taste better, but more importantly, it would activate a nutrient called niacin, right? It would activate that vitamin. And so people who took the corn and went off to Europe and Africa and brought it and made a staple crop there and didn't do this, they developed pellagra, which was a niacin deficiency. So if they had just listened to the Indian people in the way they did this, which is still being done by Hispanic culture, which of course is also very much multicultural indigenous cuisine. They're still doing this. You find it in the store with masa and hominy. These are treated by a basic solution as well. If they had just done this, they wouldn't have had those horrible issues with pellagra and disease. So if you ever had to, in your life, God forbid, go back to growing your own food, growing corn and all that, pretty good to know, right? So mulberry, big word for that is ghee. We have a whole month out of the year dedicated to this. The name for the month of May is Ikazi, which basically means mulberry moon. And mulberry, obviously was very much a revered fruit way back in the day. Because it's very healthy, very high protein in it. And you get it while the noon's good. It's not something you'll ever find in the grocery store because it's very soft and it won't perish very easily. But when it's in season, it's good to eat it. The Smilax. Struggling this thing. Smilax, again, kind of like sweet gum, people go, that's a weed. Like, I'm trying to get rid of that in my yard. Well, I actually like talking about the really common weedy stuff more than I do the very unusual stuff. Yeah, if y'all are a room full of botanists, maybe some of you are, maybe we talk about the unusual stuff and kind of freshen it up. But for most people, they want to know, hey, can I eat this in my backyard? Hey, what's useful that I see all the time? That's kind of why I talk about this. Because it actually is a great survival food. Not even survival food, just a pretty useful food to know. The roots, you can eat them. The roots can get really big. I mean, they're that big. But when they're small, you can dig them up and you can cook them down like a potato. And also, tender tips in springtime, when they're growing new tips at the end, you can kind of follow the tip down until it stops being tender and snap it. Cook it up, kind of like asparagus. So, because it's so common and so useful in several ways to eat, it's a good thing to know. And the Creek word is kajofakro or kajogani, which just means big briar or green briar. Kajo can also mean berry. And then there's sumac. So there is poison sumac, and that's pretty easy to distinguish whenever the berries are out, because poison sumac doesn't have the big, red, vibrant, matte, powdery berries. It has more whitish, kind of glossy berries. So if you ever see them, if it's not definitely very bright red and matte and powdery, don't touch it. It's not worth the risk. Because it's really hard to tell apart poisonous sumac from other kinds of sumac just by the leaf and the berry not out. In fact, I can't do it. I've tried. People have told me different things, like count leaves, and I find that none of that's very reliable, so I just avoid sumac when I'm walking in the woods, unless I see the berries out and I can tell, okay, it's the good or the bad. But if it's the good kind, you're in luck. It's a really awesome pre-colonial beverage. Just grab it back. So my grandmother made this little basket out of bark, kind of neat, but inside of it is sumac. And it's really awesome to dunk berries into cold water. Just let it sit for a little while. Don't do it in hot water because that'll leach out the bitter stuff, the bitter tannins. Do it in cold water, let it sit, and drink will turn pink. When you drink it, it tastes like lemonade. Put sugar in it, it tastes just like lemonade. And in the Middle East, in the Middle East, they have their own sumac. So I just want to show them, if you go to the grocery store, and there's one on the wheel here. In fact, this one came from the wheel. You can buy sumac. They do the same thing that they do here. Yeah. And even the so that's a really high source of vitamin C, right? So you wonder, well, how did they, not get scurvy like all the other people did when they got here? Well, they have a lot of sources of vitamin C. This and the clear improvement earlier, and also percentage during wintertime is very valuable for that. So I think that was the last plant I had. That's it. Does anybody have any questions?
So my third great grandmother, I have to go here from Ireland. And apparently she had your native Ireland, which had here, she really wanted to know how to do indigenous things. Who would she have been training with or associated with up and down the waterfront in the way? Because all the stuff that I'm building supposedly is because she was able to, and she was listed in some of the census as a grower. She eventually found that she and her daughter owned boarding houses along the waterfront and would make tinctures and poultices and things and sell them out the back door. Supposedly to the Venezuelans who came down from Springfield would send their maids down to her back door. But who would she have been learning native plant oil from? Most of it might have been the African ladies from Afghanistan, the Creole ladies down in the Creole, fish to crab, all the way down to Mongolia. And we want to know if there might have been any training going on directly, would she have been, she push her card, would she have been in contact with anyone as far as pre-knowledge gathering?
People definitely underestimate the value of what Africans brought to their traditional land.
And the women who were on the waterfront and how they associated them. They weren't the white women suits.
Right.
But just culturally, her being an Irish immigrant, would the women still have been associated with people on the waterfront as far as sharing knowledge of the women?
I mean, probably other people can speak a little bit better than I can. I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that in this area, for really trade language dispute, there's a lot of trade, there's a lot of interaction with different groups, and tribes, and beyond that. So I would imagine that the spread of knowledge is probably very readily there. I should give you that.
I am going to write from her perspective, and I don't want to just go.
I would definitely do a lot of research. It's going to get complicated, I promise you that. It always does.
It always does.
It
always is. Mother has stories, and I'm able to verify some of it, because there are big gaps. And before I start navigating and filling the gaps, what can I learn from visiting the museum, or you would know? Do they come down rivers, trade?
Well, Fort Creek people specifically, but I think they were in the Pensall area. After they migrated down from other towns, they went down right here in the Pensall area for a while.
And you said they would have been distrustful of the white guys in suits.
Well, that was after
Government officials, but earlier on, and culturally here along the coast, I mean, from the time of Spanish exploration, people were much more open
Yeah.
to trading and so different culture than, say, pre-statehood, when they ended up and the more traditional colonies of government came down and they started to get
Totally. Yeah. Right.
official that way. It would have been a lot more involved that way. Who would she have been associated with
Like what
in
you thought.
the 1860s along the waterfront?
That's after Google.
Did they come, did they, were there trailers coming into town?
I don't know as much about Mobile Bay specifically. Each and every little, pocket has its own unique story. But I would say it's after Google. And again, every tribe has their own volunteer story. Everybody was affected by that.
Or just say people hiding out.
Right.
To backwoods, they went into the swamps, maybe. So,
And obviously, the Delta area, a lot of people like, oh my gosh, they were doing walled off huts for their ages.
so you're gonna find someone who would be representative of what I feel develop as a character that my grandmother would be associated with.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, the sad truth is that a lot of those survivors are opposed to and not. And in fact, I mean, you have to acknowledge the whole complicated history and treat people were complicit in some of that. In terms of the name problem, like that's fine. I'm very bad about that kind of tribe. But I mean, coastal tribes developed that hard. Appalachians, I think some of the, this is totally out of my knowledge zone, but I think some of the Appalachians did participate in Texas. Anybody know about that? I think
We met some Appalachians, at the Natchitoches, thing that we went to a couple weekends ago.
where was that? Or where were they from?
He's actually from Gary, Louisiana.
Okay, maybe it is Louisiana, maybe it's not Texas. But there were some people from the Appalachian who persisted, I guess, hiding out.
But all
By
I
fire.
know is from one village, from one community to the next, it would have been networked in.
Yeah,
some fashion.
I don't know, Mobile was an interesting anomaly compared to the rest of the country because, I don't know if you ever saw a teacher under the dome, we were kind of under the dome. We didn't care what other parts of the country really thought.
And too much of it though.
To the, town. And so, it's just a really unique fabric that's been suppressed and really needs to be brought back to the surface.
I want to write authentic characters who would have been
Yeah.
Creole along the way in Africatown and even Fort Creek or somewhere. I want to write authentic characters who would have been and then she tried to learn indigenous
Come up to
more.
my library in Chastain one day, and we'll see what we got here.
Yeah, I think she would be a great source to talk about here specifically. And for what I can speak to specifically, unless they were interacting as far as Kensaw and Delta, Upper Creek.
Because Grandpa was,
Okay, yeah.
he was all over.
They might interact.
And see, and made specific points about something specifically about plants. We kept in our family, but others, I know she probably wouldn't have contact with, but have been lost.
Yeah, if you've got some specific things that you really want to work around, come up and visit us and see what we've got to offer. And then maybe we can cultivate something.
And now it's about to get very complicated.
Oh, yeah.
Bigger.
I promise you.
We'll be over one.
Thank you.
Yeah, real especially. I mean, seriously, yeah. Does anybody else have any questions?
African population, African American population, and the Portuguese.
So, where the Forest Creeks were forced to, in modern times, in the modern reservation land, that was kind of like wild in the property, and they were really isolated there for a long time. And eventually, the outskirts did become primarily African American community. It's called Creole. So we actually today have a lot of interaction. We mess with that. But for a while they weren't there. And today, I mean, it's kind of sad because today I think there's tension with that. However, historically, if you go back to the Kensaw period and Stockton and all that, you actually had a really interesting multicultural situation up with the Native family, especially. You had African kids and Native kids, white kids all going to school together. There's actually a guy, you should probably even touch with, who's a descendant of Native family slaves who all about that. Just that particular, polished it, and I practiced. It wasn't, Creek people had slaves.
That's what I was about to ask you, if the Creek had slaves.
It's one of those things, it's hard to talk about, because it's like, yes, and they did treat them better. That's what we all say. They're still slaves, you know, you can't.
I know that there was some sort of complicated history with that in terms of what they were able to receive from the federal government, they had to own slaves.
Oh, I don't know about that, that's interesting. I mean, curious to know about that. Yeah.
But like you said, in the Middle East, there's still slaves. There are a lot of people here on the Gulf Coast that do claim Native history, but they can't necessarily trace it back. Some of them were not able to make their roles. My family is doing a lot of genealogy research. We found our name here, but we can't figure out who this person is.
Oh, yeah.
So,
People get brick walls all the time, and I would never deny someone's ancestry, you know, if community knows that somebody was native, it's a basic brick wall, paperwork, I mean, it happens all the time. It's sad, but true.
I have a little story. I was just wondering, when I saw this paper up front, like for this event, and I saw your last name, I wondered, does that name come from? I was gonna say because it's not. Okay, is that your married name?
No, my maternal grandfather is 100% white.
Okay.
A lot of English heritage, Welsh heritage, Burroughs of English heritage. People think all the time, oh, you have some Native American name. I'm like, no,
Yeah, that's
First
what
name,
I
yeah.
heard.
No.
Yeah, my family, my mother's side of the family is Crowers, but they probably got that name from a white man because we know that there was I believe maybe it was a justice of the peace, heard that he was a Scottish. Well,
I can take you where the growers were buried in Magnolia Cemetery.
Really?
okay.
Yes, there was North Grower, Fremont Grower, one was the justice.
Just the Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, those are the Crowers are my mother. Well, my mother's first. Yeah.
See, that's so powerful for me because I think about that sometimes because I was a white descent in America a long time ago.
Right.
Odds are those ancestors are like that.
The next song that was ever said that was really interesting is Creole Jews on the south side of the state. Has natives and like the Chicago. So, well, they don't exist anymore. They merged with the Peoria.
Okay.
And so now that you said what you said, that this is not just a one-off thing, this is amongst probably all of the tribes that are affected by colonization.
Oh yeah, like I was telling her, Ed, to get into this kind of stuff, you find something far more complicated than we are.
So the tribes are really just one tribe.
Well, now they kind of.
They are now,
No,
they're
they're
extended from.
Oh yeah, like Puerto Rico, people descended from Chickasaw, Upper Creek, Swimming Towns, more Calabash, some here, and Alexandria. They actually, a lot of neighbors kind of came together and made that. And we have
Okay, so, I was just thinking that just as a piece, just like a grower, that was just as a piece.
Sterling or Fremont Grower.
Okay.
But my question to you is, are you familiar with the Foxfire series?
yeah.
Okay, so is there something equivalent to that among the Native American populations that would really document the traditions, of the elders in any
I'm trying to think if there's like some kind of
That was a
south.
massive project.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's some kind of southeastern book that sort of does that, but it's not exactly. I don't really have a lot of reference to point to, especially in terms of Greek specifically, Puerto Rico culture. There is a book called Greek Indian Medicine Ways, which is written between an anthropologist and a Greek medicine man out No, nobody's really kind of out of it, I'd say. Yeah, that'd be another busy. But, in terms of, I'm sure I'm just not thinking of it, but I'm sure there's some southeast wind and something along that line. I mean, there are really great reference materials for pre-colonial exploration or historical explorations, like, I think there's one just called Southeast Wind by Hudson. That's a great one. I think Charles Hudson. Oh, I gave him that name. And then Swanton's one of the leading researchers on Old Creek culture. He had people like from elsewhere. Swanton's stuff is really good. And but all that's anthropological. And if you talk to elders, they'll tell you some of the stuff in there's wrong. So you always gotta, if you're going to do the research, in my opinion, consult meaningfully with tribal elders, people who know a lot about old culture, at the same time doing the research. Be there to find the truth. That's why I said what I said. Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna say more about that. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things you can always try. There's one to ask. But, these broad things you're saying, like there's a lot of stuff you could ask for about those real estate. Certainly in my bring up the city out there. But there's a lot that they can really talk about. Yeah.
You get to become an environmental specialist.
I went to school. That's where I was at.
I literally looked at your LinkedIn and
Oh,
I saw,
yeah.
I saw that, but I was just looking on how we segue into that position. Were you the environmental protection specialist for Creole, hired by the tribal or through EPA?
No, it's a fact. I do lots of PTA grant work too. I mean, I went to school in Atlanta. I moved back home. I got a job in the postal department, and I kind of waited until the job opened up in environmental and applied for it. It's part of me, I just moved there. Right. It's kind of